still have pretty much all of the strong junglers up and available. Sejuani, Maokai, if Gideon and IG want to take that route. And as it gets hovered, typically when it gets hovered, it gets locked in this meta. This is kind of how it goes. Don't really want to have to show your cards.
Not a lot of dupes this year.
Not a lot of dupes this year, I'm afraid. You know, on the bright side, and especially whenever I bring this point up, all the play-by-plays always go, hey, I get to look like a genius when I start talking about draft and I get to predict things. But this is what I do want to talk about, the Jax pick. I think it's going to be super high priority in this series, not just because YSKM's here, but Xiaoxu had a really positive look on that against anyone's legend. Just mechanically always kind of outplaying 1-to-1, 2 versus 1 as well. Situations where you shouldn't really be getting a kill out of. He was getting over that line, so I'm excited to see that LGD are willing to first pick this one and take it away. And of course, the Sejuani's available, so just go for it. You've got your strong 2v2 from the get-go. The setup is there, and now IG kind of have to worry about that. It's just that YSKM is probably going to take Fiora into it because we know what he's like, and it is two very CC heavy top side melee champs.
Yeah, we're getting into the thick of it here in the first phase, though. That Sejuani combo is going to be huge, but there's still that ADC pool that needs to be either picked down in the second phase of bans or picked through here in the first phase of picks. Obviously, Zeri has been a very strong combo with a lot of the Enchanter supports, also on having a little bit of that not having played it this year so far competitively, which I think is interesting. But IG, it is as strong a pick. So like, I don't think you're going anything crazy with getting the Zeri here. And there's that Fiora for YSKM.
Yep, who would have thunk it? YSKM is picking mechanical matchups in the top side. But of course, I think Fiora is just a good pick here regardless. We know how it works into Jax. It's still a skill matchup, but again, one he's going to be happy to pilot. And with that Sejuani being there, a lot of telegraph CC, which you can get away with riposting, so kind of increases your chances of having some outplay moments. As Caitlyn looking like it's going to get locked in here. Potentially the
you got duped.
All right,
you got duped. It's
but
the Sylas in this.
Look, man, the Zeri's there. I could always see it happening, right? just the 1-to-1. Cut me some slack.
The Sylas
LGD
is so big here, though.
Me. It is definitely, right? I think you've got the Maokai ultimate steal away, which is always really good. The lightning crash, just for the AP ratio, always going to be really strong. But of course, naturally, with the Sejuani, can always pair up Haichao with Meteor to just find strong skirmishes. The setup for the permafrost is always going to be there. So much CC to deal with, and they're going to be able now to ban away the Kassadin and ban away another very comfortable Dove champion to try and set up for a very, very strong 2v2 in the mid jungle.
They focus in that bot lane. They don't want to give LPC that Samira he's known for. But especially taking away some of that comfort, the second phase I think is really big. We got to look at some of those meta picks that are still on the board, though. I love the Kassadin ban away, but I still feel like there's such strong picks. And there's one of them being taken away from that Zeri combo in the Lulu for LGD banned away.
Yeah, I think both these bans just make sense for LGD, right? If you don't feel like banning away another mid laner and you feel like Kassadin's the only thing you need to be worried about here, banning away Lulu when you see Zeri on the table and Yumi's already gone, it just makes perfect sense, right? Those are her two ideal pairings, so now Wink is going to have to look for something else, perhaps, that isn't exactly going to be that massive utility pick in the sense, Enchanter utility pick in the sense of Yumi or Lulu, of course, and LGD eyeing up the Heimerdinger to maybe just have a very, very strong laning phase.
Yeah, I think this is a really crucial point because we were putting so much praise on and Wink as kind of the step-up potential for IG on top of having such a strong top side of the map. But JinJiao with a little bit of comfort here. The Heimerdinger, we also have just seen Heimerdinger be ridiculously crazy, and I'm wondering how much aggressive lane presence we get with that final pick from LGD, as they will be going for the ADC last. Now, IG are on the clock here. We have some picks still available. We need the support, obviously. We need mid lane. I think there's still some very strong picks left on the board here.
Definitely are, and this is one that Wink piloted first into Heimerdinger. So misfortune support. Kind of think about it in the same vein as when, if you're an old head, bring your head all the way back to season 6 when misfortune came out as a counter to Zyra. Same sort of thought process with the Heimerdinger towers. Now IG looking for something in the mid lane. I expect it's probably going to be Azir because it's Dove, and it feels like it's just a super comfortable pick. And I think having mid lane priority is super important here. If you go Galio, you're just giving Haichao too much setup. So I wouldn't like to see it get locked in here. It does go through. I'm a little bit skeptical about it though. Go on.
I kind of like it.
Be glass half full. Be glass half full for me. Go on.
Yeah. The team fight potential is crazy. Obviously, if you get YSKM in there, who has been that mainstay, forward aggression for the team, him and Gideon, you have a lot of setup for the heroic entrance and a lot of setup for a bullet time from Wink. So honestly, want to see how it works out. A lot of mechanical leveling up needed for IG with this composition, especially when they get to the later parts of the game. And I think LGD have set themselves up beautifully with a pretty standard composition.
Yeah, I think standard to the mouth. I agree. I don't
with the standard Jhin and Heimerdinger now. I think that's
Jhin
standard.
having a bot. Yeah, standard. Yeah, I don't know.
How does this jungle play out early? Where do we see the resources delved out for both these teams? Those are the questions that we are on this Rift to answer. As week number 4, day 2 kicks off now. IG versus LGD. We already had a little bit of fun bot lane.
A little bit of fun bot. No major shenanigans, thankfully, as we're loading in. Or I say thankfully, it's always nice to get those level 1 shenanigans. Because normally it's followed up by level 2 shenanigans. So it leads into a very chaotic energy game.
Hey, I think that means that this is Meteor's 200th game. I obviously don't know Mandarin, but looks pretty cool.
I think that is game. Yeah, has to be 200 in LPL, and it's at the start, and he's not got an kill or an assist, so it has to be 200 game. So
it has to be.
If it somehow isn't, sorry, but
we're just egg on our faces. I do want to zone in a little bit though, because there was a really interesting conversation with Jackie Love coming off his series the other day, and it was about bot lanes now in the meta, and especially the double AD carry bot lanes. He was saying actually that out of laning phase, double AD carries fall off big time. Obviously with the misfortune, it's a little bit different, but I do want to kind of pick your brain about how this bot lane should look to function here for IG.
All right, well, I mean, I kind of fall in line with that thought process. I think there's a couple of AD carries that definitely buck that trend. I feel like you're always going to be getting the most out of these AD carries in lane, sure, and then depending on the kit, really how much you're going to get out of teamfight, right? MF is always going to be able to provide massive zoning tools with bullet time and the Make It Rain. Ashe is always going to be able to provide long-range engage, so that's why she's so potent. But some of the more, out there support picks, which I'll bring up the first one as Varus, which Wink brought out. It's basically kind of just a poke bot, and then you've got a bit of engage off the chains of corruption. So, yeah. It doesn't really, it varies. Definitely AD carry to AD carry. I do feel like, though, you miss some of the flat-out utility that the traditional supports bring you, and in some cases, additional scaling, right? Just from having some of the support items that they usually have access to, which not all of these AD carries do.
So we did see a little bit of that ward game being played down bot lane by LPC and JinJiao. Actually, Gideon had hovered that way, didn't find anything, has now run his way all the way topside, and this is a traditional Gideon style where we have seen those pokes into the enemy jungle in the early parts of the game, but now both junglers hovering around this top side.
Yeah, I mean, Meteor could get here in time to display Xiaoxu.
He sees
just uses
Xiaoxu does not have any mana here. YSKM, he wants to kill the riposte, let him have the solo, but no, it goes to Gideon and IG first blood.
Yeah, I mean, YSKM just didn't have the health resources to chase that one down, so it's a good thing Gideon is there to clean that one up, gets the first blood. And Xiaoxu, yeah, just too far forward, no mana. Was getting some nice trades on to the Fiora, but frankly, wasn't going to be able to capitalize on it. Like you say, I want to say that wave frozen, teleport gets forced out. YSKM will have to teleport anyway, because this freeze will get broken quite quickly. Either way, definitely not a nice start for LGD's top side.
And again, we have seen those resources very much delve towards YSKM Gideon. We even with some of the successes we've seen bot lane, we know this is where IG want to usually stick their head into. Meteor with a little bit of response here in his own right, had to pass down towards the bottom side. We'll get the scuttle crab down there, and maybe just hovering for potentially early stacking or early objectives for LGD.
Eventually, we'll see. I think if LGD see this top side is something that they can't really invest any resources into, and trying to get a bottom side stack would definitely be something that will prove to provide a lot of dividends. But like we were just talking about before the top side play was going on, double AD carry on the bottom side, it should mean it's a stronger side of the map for IG in theory in lane. But Heimerdinger Jhin kind of, priority merchants. as it were. Oh.
JinJiao just a little bit late on the transit. He's like, I'm gonna catch him. But that's the thing, you can be so cheeky with these Heimerdinger plays a lot of the time.
Oh man, it's like, this is going to be slightly niche maybe to the LPL audience, but I think definitely not to you. Did you see, and now I have no idea which NACL player or team or game it happened in.
Oh, it was Prismal for Golden Guardians, yeah. Where under tier 2 tower in the bush, yeah, not a great time.
No, very, very nasty. And that's the kind of thing that JinJiao was half setting up for, just over the wall, and a little less 100 to 0, and a little more 20, 30, 40% HP gone. But yeah, Heimerdinger's still broken. I can't wait till it's gone, to be honest with you. I think
and that's so where weird. I was so interested about this IG bot lane and how they're supposed to function, because it feels like, so far at least, this Heimerdinger pick and the Jhin, the range that they have, the clear that they have, and the pressure that JinJiao's able to put with these turrets, it feels like it's kind of shutting down this bot lane of IG.
Yeah, it feels like you're not getting the most out of the kind of, you know, pressure you'd like to see from a double AD carry matchup, that's for sure. And in this case, JinJiao just outright gets a pretty positive trade onto 2 members. Oh, he eats it back. Well, he eats it back. Up. There you go. His first throw up because he knows he should have taken that Ultra Shock laser on the back end. But yeah, Heimerdinger still so powerful that he can kind of put down 2 members now. As we kind of hover back over to the top side, this is what I was talking about. Haichao also has this hero's entrance stolen away. Now, of course, it's going to be on a timer, and maybe IG will try and play around it, but you can kind of start to see some of the early teething issues potentially from having the Galio pick. I think they wanted to try and dive Xiaoxu on that stacked wave that YSKM just crashed. But unfortunately, with Haichao also having Daom available to him, it's too risky a play to actually go and make. So the play kind of just gets called off immediately. Dove kind of just comes back to the mid lane off of a half roam and just says, yeah, never mind, this topside play isn't happening.
Yeah, and now that we've gotten to level 6, it feels like some of that early game setup with the Sejuani actively ganking in these double melee solo lanes is not really going to be able to be as easy executed now. Oh, stun combo has to be cleansed out from on the bottom side. But it feels like it's definitely leaning towards IG's composition now that we have reached this milestone in the game, because we haven't seen Meteor really be able to be proactive.
Yeah, I can get on board with that line of thought process, to be honest with you. You really want to see LGD solo lane as kind of... Oh no.
Curtain call, block the shots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay, wow. Wink did it.
LPC was just really content there, just throwing all 4 shots into Wink, wasn't he? He was just like, yeah, they're probably not gonna mess up and let me hit on, so I'm just gonna chuck all 4. Call it a day.
Some of those times, that's where I like to like shoot side, like to the side, like purposely miss. I'm a Jhin stand. I'm nowhere near as good as these guys, right? But like I like to like shoot a little side once, and like, oh, they're bad, they're miss, and then maybe like juke them out. I'm probably not gonna work in the professional LPL, but I love to see the activity from LPC, from JinJiao, not giving any breathing room to this IG bot lane and securing first dragon for LGD.
Yeah, which is exactly what we wanted to see, right? If topside plays weren't going to be happening onto them, or topside wasn't going
on
too
the
well,
roam again.
Go to the bottom
I just
side.
Can't wait to get on the roam again. That's what Mink is singing right now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you think he's humming it on the way up here?
Absolutely. He's got the strut going. He's strutting his stuff, walking towards the top side of the map. We've got a Rift Herald fight potentially brewing.
Yeah, got a mean walk to him. So we'll see if LGD actually try and respond to this, because ultimates are there. Haichao also has another hijack available, so he looks to take a bullet time or an nature's grasp. But it looks like this is just going to be taken almost, it feels, unawares, but you'd have to imagine that LGD have an idea it's probably going on.
Oh, this is a really good trade for Xiaoxu. He's baiting YSKM in as Meteor slinks around the corner. Gideon is right behind it, but it's too little too late. Or is it? Yes, it is. The bullet goes a little bit wide, but YSKM has fallen and LGD on the board themselves.
Yeah, just a way to try and dissuade any kind of re-engage, but YSKM drops riposted early, just trying to trade out with Xiaoxu. Just wasn't expecting Meteor to be there on that timer. A really nice flash from Meteor, and now, even though the kill goes over to the Sejuani, a little bit of pressure goes the way of LGD in the top side, so that's going to sort of relieve some of the early teething issues of that lane, just simply because of that early gank. YSKM was able to pull himself out into a bit of a lead. As I agree with you. Oh no, man. LGD on the bottom side, pushing quite heavily.
Pretty heavy CS differential coming through here, actually, for the bottom lane.
Yeah, Yeah, that's starting to grow too, but you can see Riposte comes through, doesn't end up blocking it, and YSKM, he just wants to get the wave under, and it's just one of those unfortunate moments as a top laner where the jungler shows up while she's trying to do it, and ultimate chucked out just to try and persuade as, Justice Punch, interrupted.
Dove is pretty tanky though, and LGD can't get the kill.
Yeah, alright, well. That's that guy. Half health, maybe some first move action from LGD in the mid lane on the next wave or so. And they can try and make a play, but speaking of trying to make a play, it's IG that had the Herald, so I'm very curious where they're going to want to put their eggs, because I feel like basket in the mid lane, not really one you care about because it's got a Galio in it. On the top side, definitely, you know, volatile matchup, you might end up seeing that, but I feel like trying to get Arn maybe back in the game a little bit, just because of how LPC and JinJiao have been laning. Could definitely feel very, very nice at the very least.
And you see that's where Gideon's head is, at least for now, right? They are trying to give some resources back down his bottom lane. Meteor is here, though. There's the Dudley Flourish on top of it, and Curtain Call following. My God, that CC. It's too deadly. But Dove gets the engage on the Meteor. There's the taunt. We got to be careful.
Wow.
Oh, with the lightning crash flash forward. He's got AoE, but he doesn't have a life. LPC shuts him down as Dove needs to be careful, but JinJiao is here to set things up. Does he die to the winds of war? He does it. A double kill for LPC, and the cosmicness of the 4 is here for LGD. Wait, no, he can't get the 4th shot. But it is an incredible early fight and win for LGD bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, Arn just feel like he's playing AP Blitzcrank there. Flash in with the lightning crash, get as much damage out as he can. Isn't able to kite away from the remaining LGD members, and the rest of his team can't really get there in time to protect him after such an aggressive move forward. But the skirmish goes the way of LGD, right? The only nice thing there is that Gideon dying first means there's no response, maybe with a Herald on the back end. And you call out in the play-by-play, so much CC. What's he supposed to do? Move, smile, but his dump on the hero's entrance locks down Meteor, and it's just Arn going forward for it. Your credit goes over to Dove, fair enough. Despite that, really nice cleanse. Borderline the Captain Jack, but damage is there. 4th shot shuts down the Zeri. And no more Kain can come out of the play. Justice Punch.
So close. Oh, the shots from the turrets too.
Yeah,
man.
You can respect the attempt. And this is also an attempt.
He's got the turret play. He's gonna try to kill YSKM. He can't get him. All right, it was close. It was close. But IG finally gives some love to their top laner here as Rift Herald's coming up close. So Gideon gonna be giving those resources to YSKM.
Yeah, definitely. Get him back in the game a little bit, because Xiaoxu, as you saw the indicator pop up, actually does have his Divine Sunder up. I think Haichao should be fine.
Okay.
Gold will still go over to YSKM. He still gets it. Not a problem.
Okay, Dove looking for the engage on JinJiao, trying to catch him out. There's the bullet time setup, and he doesn't do any damage just yet. Here comes Gideon to make sure they get the kill over to Wink, though. And IG capitalize on that roam and on JinJiao's out position.
JinJiao shouldn't be there, plain and simple. And Dove feels a little bit mad that he didn't get lethal earlier on, so he just flashes on his face. Gets mad at the Yordle. And yeah, interesting that Wink is opting towards a little bit of AP. Now, I can't recall what he built.
It's the AP build.
Yeah, I can't recall what he built in his first support Misfortune game. I apologize for having a bad memory. Maybe, Mazel, you can look out for me and see if he did the same thing, because, of course, the Umbral Glaive is what we see on a lot of these AD carries. So, interesting to see that it will be the AP Misfortune, so likely just the Leandries. He could, of course, still go the Umbral Glaive 7 if Wink so chooses, as Misfortune is kind of one of those champions you can build a lot of different items on in general, just because she has really strong AP and AD ratios.
All right, I got you. All right, so he had built, doesn't tell me in what order, but I had the Leandries and the Ryleys.
Okay, so it was just a full-on AP build.
Combo.
Yeah, full-on AP build.
So I really want to see how it works out as we get to this mid-game, especially in that like first item completion there, but until then it feels a little bit rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about like the make it rain placement, and the bullet time is kind of just supplemental damage. Well, of course, there's still going to be a lot of damage. Oh, Wink.
1 shot, 2 shot. Man, it is the biggest pet peeve of this. Oh,
They did move. They got a little bit restless there.
He knows, man. He knows. I mean, that's why you do it. You bait them. You stress them with that fourth shot, waiting on it. But I will say, just to see kind of LPC, especially with this setup towards bottom lane, interesting. But it is the pet peeve of all Jins to have something in the way of his beautiful performance.
Exactly. LPC is trying to create some art here. As Haichao and JinJiao, they might be cooking up something.
Herald collapse, maybe. Yeah. They got bot lane from IG coming this way, and so is LPC. He's a little bit behind the play, though, and IG want to start up a Rift Herald already.
Gobson slide up. You should know me's already here with Gideon and the rest
They're
of
collapsing.
IG shoving the mid wave. That's a
over
collapse.
the wall. That's huge. The big bouncing grenade there as well, maybe. It's not enough damage. There's the Nature's Grass coming back in as the re-engage from IG has been initiated on putting in the AoE. Heroic Entrance has to come out for the resistances onto Meteor. And IG win the scuffle min. That should be their Rift Herald.
Really crucial for LGD that JinJiao's upgraded Hextech Grenade actually interrupts Wink with his own armor. Otherwise, yeah, I think LGD would have got shredded by that bullet time. They were well too deep into the lines of IG, and Wink was very much ready to punish. So LGD, they make it out with no major casualties, but they do lose the Rift Herald. The objective still goes the way of IG. And one thing we didn't really bring up, it's just the Cloud Dragon, funnily. So
just a little Cloud Dragon.
Now again, you know, anyone that knows me and my work, big seller of the Cloud Soul and Dragon. This game, it's actually pretty high value for IG. I actually think, you know, Fiora, Zeri, zoom, 50% movement speed on R press. It's pretty impressive, actually. I think for LGD, a little less. So if IG can get it stacked, though I don't know if are we really gonna get like another 40+ minute game in the LPL today? we've had like two over the last 3 days. I guess we will find out.
So I do want to highlight here though, because we do have items being completed. We have the new moves first. So we've had and seen a big tradition in Jhin builds now to just be going for that lethality, get the Eclipse there as well. LGD gonna opt into that as well, as Haichao's already down here, but they're collapsing onto Dove, who finds himself with 4 members, 3 of them taunted under tower. The flash comes out, Bola will, but LGD know that there is reinforcements coming, so they back away. Now IG back towards the top side. YSKM getting all the love from Gideon.
Yeah, here it is. I mean, I just want to give props to Dove there, because that was a very awkward position to be in. 4 members in your face. Going forward, but he's got the way that gets him out. Yeah, got the aftershock. That's what really saves him.
True.
Comes down.
That is true.
Just get so many.
My eyes go to the Roa, not the.
Yeah, I mean, hey, to be fair,
it doesn't matter.
To be fair, Mazel, Roa is pretty strong. It is pretty obnoxious.
You don't say.
Maybe not on Galio per se. I'm not saying it's bad here, by the way, but maybe not as oppressive as it is on things like Rise or, of course, the K champion. The one that shall not be named. It was also banned by LGD in the second rotation, thankfully.
All right. We'll leave that, you know, especially with maybe not getting to see him at all today. But let's circle back into what's happening here. We have 30 seconds for another Dragon. LGD, this would be soul point for them. They are getting a reset right now for Meteor, heading down towards this bottom lane. IG are already in position to defend. Their vision game is on point, and they are ready for a contest.
They are. And with Maokai objective setup, right, it's so easy. Just dropping the saplings in the bushes and ensuring that everyone has to walk in, walk backwards, or just eat the damage, right? It's very, very unfun.
All the kitty cats. Usually that's a positive to walk into a bunch of cats that want to jump all over you and be cuddly and cute, but in Summoner's Rift that doesn't work.
Yeah, unless you're allergic to cats, which is a pretty sad
well, then you probably shouldn't go to a place with a bunch of cats that want to cuddle with you.
Yeah,
maybe that's a user error there a little bit.
Yeah, look at what? The observer just
oh my god!
Attacked by both sides, the wolves, the dogs and the cats.
Man, all the cats and dogs making so IG get their first dragon easy.
Yeah, wasn't that was a film, right? Cats and Dogs. It's like one of those weird. Like,
well, there was like an animated show called Cat Dog, which was very, very creepy and weird, but it was cool. It was a good show. It was on Nickelodeon. Shout out to anybody.
Yeah, I think it was one of those Fever Dream films. It was
There
like
was
in the early
cats
2000s.
versus dogs.
Was it
Yeah,
maybe
there-
I'm thinking of Cats versus Dogs. Is that one of those?
it was like where the dogs and cats are like spies.
Yeah, it's such a weird
like
film.
they use like trash cans to like go around everywhere. There's this
Yeah,
whole underworld of cats and dogs that are fighting each other. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm not sure why my brain
They made
just
a second
decided
one.
to pull that out. How
They made
do
a second
you make
one.
a sequel?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's one of those movies where you're like, all right, we'll just watch the first one. But speaking of the first one, we're in the first game of IG LGD. There are a bunch of cats and dogs around the rift. We have a little bit of a fight between Dove and Meteor, who are not cats or dogs. We'll see Meteor actually taking pretty aggressive trade, but in mid lane, IG's reinforcements are right there ready to go.
Yeah, but no one's really looking for the trigger. That dragon went over for free effectively. LGD just didn't really feel like playing for it all, so I'm kind of curious what the game plan is from the perspective of LGD now, because if you think about scaling, you know, you have your own facets, sure, okay, this is an engage. Gideon's got a flash backwards.
That's 3 ultimates used right there.
Yeah, that's kind of going to be the extent of the... Okay, that's a meaty 4th shot.
That's
into Gideon's back,
Eclipse you moves. That's second item, almost 3rd for LPC.
But you have to imagine, right? I feel like IG, at least, you know, team to team, they're probably going to be a lot more accustomed to just allowing their top laner to play the side lane, but also lean into him a lot more comfortably as JinJiao.
I just saw... That's a first item Warbogs for Meteor, by the way. I feel like I've seen that in a long time.
Wow. SFM called Brother Meteor. I think he wants his build back.
All right, but we're getting class bot lane now. See
Yes, we
Meteor
are.
with that Warbogs and the Merc Treads and the Bomby. We can help out Xiaoxu. Double stun there, and Gideon's already gone. Heroic entrance, though, might set the difference for IG. The taunt does not connect. Flashes are coming out from LGD, but they're being run down by You Should Know Me. And that's a triple kill for the top laner of IG.
IG collapse, and even though Gideon drops first, LGD still do not have the health bar or the positioning to deal with that much aggression from IG. They get the tower. You Should Know Me as well. Gonna press on to that tier 2. And IG, I mean, if they had their jungler, they'd probably look towards Baron right now. But the prize is looking like it's going to be 3 towers on the map, because look how quickly Fiora's already mincing through this tower. And in the mid lane, actually looks like Arn going to be left alone against Haichao. So that mid lane tier 1 isn't going to drop, very thankfully. But so much gold just got injected into You Should Know Me. He's being teleported on.
He's gonna die. Oh, he's got Xiaoxu coming for a shot. Doesn't land, but Xiaoxu wants it. He's gonna get him down. Counter strike and the slam down kill over to LGD.
All right, that's gonna feel very nice for Xiaoxu, because You Should Know Me is definitely coming. Yeah, there you go. Ravenous
There you go,
item.
Ravenous
Definitely
item.
coming back with a second item, and Xiaoxu actually going towards the Blade of the Ruined King. Actually going towards a fully committed side lane build. I feel like we don't get to see that very often out of competitive Jaxes. Very often, it's usually, you know, Divine Sunderer into tank items or utility items, right? We see Broken Blade in the LEC go towards Zhonya's quite a lot whenever he's on the pick. But talk about this replay, because as the observers highlighted, no teleport there from Haichao. And Gideon had no help from the earlier chunk out, but it doesn't really matter. Once that heroic entrance comes down, the turnaround play is just on and kind of stuck between a rock and a very deadly bullet time and a very, very angry You Should Know Me. It means that LGD just have no answer in the damage department.
Again, we set it up in draft, right? Like, there is a bar of execution for IG, but if you pull it off, it looks damn good. And we saw with a little bit of that bullet time help there, maybe the execution needs a little bit of help here, as Gideon already dies to LPC. We got Dove getting the taunt here onto JinJiao, who's all by himself. Heroic entrance gets the triple knock up there, and On getting a little bit low and down to LPC. Xiaoxu in some trouble against YSKM, has to jump out of the grand challenge. Now here comes the curtain call. The follow-up is definitely here. Get a couple shots into Dove, taking him down, but YSKM right here to defend the tower.
Man, lethality Jhin is just hitting like a truck right now.
Dude, I love it. I love it so much.
It's good, yeah. I mean, hey, we did have, and I think we were both, no, it was me, Sheen and I were on a game where Jhin went Kraken Slayer. I think it was...
Oh, God.
I can't recall.
I remember that, actually.
However, apparently the build is legit.
Okay.
I understand the maths behind it. It's basically all amped for the 4th shot damage. Don't agree with it, but yeah, it exists. I don't think it's better than Lethality Jhin, though. I think Lethality overall
I
is better.
miss Hail Blade's
Or just playing
Lethality
crit.
Jhin.
Or
That
just playing-
was the good days.
Yeah, Halo Blade Jhin as well. But also, I'm in the crit camp. I just
Okay,
I feel like crit is probably just
I see
the
you.
most
I feel your
consistent.
pain. Nature's Grass does come out in mid lane, though. They want to get this tower. It's not really going to find it. A little bit of preemptive engage from IG there, but I do want to take a look across the board. We have Void Staff completed second for Haichao. You have Morel and Omicron completed second for Dove. But a lot of utility coming in Dove's side of the map. But we're also looking at those third item completions now for the ADCs, for the carries. And you see LPC having his third item, having that transformation, the Muramana. This is a huge power spike for LGD.
It is. There's so much extra AD. He just got completion probably around an extra 50 AD from that last fight. So, he said he hit like a truck before. What's bigger than a semi, bro? Like what is on the road that is just
one of those big like dump trucks they use in like the mines that are like the person is like the size of one of the treads on the truck.
Yeah, one of
those.
those. Yeah, he's gonna be hitting like one of those.
I don't know what they're called.
I don't know either.
Big dump truck.
Yeah,
it's the thing I used to play with as a child in the backyard. You just
yeah, it's gonna be pretty unfun if IG find themselves on the receiving end of too much of that damage. So I think if they can find their way on top of LPC very early on in the fights, they're gonna find themselves having a lot more of an easier time trying to navigate.
LDR completed for On. So at least both ADCs on their third item spikes here. And I think a big kind of thing we need to look at in these next fights is definitely the influence of YSKM and Xiaoxu. YSKM came into that last fight, got a triple kill for himself. And I think we're seeing some of that. Obviously, Haichao not having the TP in the side lane in that last play, but for these next fights, it is about who's getting this push in side lane, who could join the fights, because that a lot of resources, at least for IG, have gone to YSKM.
Yeah, I really like the call out here as well, because I think not only has a lot of the resources gone, Meteor
A little bit disconnected there. Would have been cool to get that bullet time connected with the Glacial Prison, but it was a bit of defense set up by LGD and successfully done.
Yeah, so to carry on building off your point, I think YSKM at the moment is in a position where he's arguably still stronger than Xiaoxu, and I think side lane control is always going to be important. For now, both top laners have been pulled to this mid lane tower, as we have a bit of an errand going on. I never knew NA was still going on right now. That is a really
right,
nice
it's a little bit late for that one. Meteor finds a re-engage. That was a big Nature's Grasp.
Oh!
And Gideon getting so low. Xiaoxu finds the engage on the YSK, but he's out of there. Dove sacrifices his life to get the rest of IG out of there. It must be worth it as a kill goes over to LGD.
Yeah, LGD still in their defense of their tier 1 mid tower. They don't want it to drop. They still want it there. And both teams commit 5 members, and it's IG walking away with 4. Really nicely done by LGD. It's just Dove who, like you say, he plays Sacrificial Lamb there. He doesn't want the rest of the team to die. And his sacrifice does mean the rest of IG walk away. And LGD, off the back of it, they don't really gain anything other than being successful in their defense, and of course getting the kill. So I think after we come out of the replay, it's just going to be a bit of a reset. But I just say Dove just kind of steps forward, and unfortunately, kind of just soaks up a lot of damage as he blocks up the Nature's Grasp, as I don't think we had a summon spell forced there, but it was LGD looking, yeah, again, oh, actually, Meteor blew his flash, looking for that play. So,
Yeah, looks like it.
yeah, not going to have that for the next Dragon, or if a Baron attempt ends up starting off for the next 5 minutes.
I will just say, though, the tankiness coming out from both sides' front lines right now is a bit actually incredible. Like, we just had a meatball fight under the tower last fight in mid lane. But we'll see how that kind of continues to go. As we were saying, the LDR and stuff completed here for On going into this tankier competition. YSKM now has also completed his third item. It is the Death's Dance. Dragon coming up about 35 seconds. So LGD need to find priority in mid lane, but it's harder to come by than you would think, Jamada.
Definitely has been. I think a lot of that to do with, well, the fact that LGD refused to let Xiaoxu go and split push, but also because they just keep on sending 5 members mid. And as the minimap was hovered there for a second, I think really important to note, both side lanes going to be pushing against IG, I think. That bottom side lane definitely slow stacking. Top side is just played out by Haichao. So IG not going to have that to work with after the fact. And LGD have actually given up the river which is definitely pretty important when you've got a Maokai on the opposite side. They can try and either bait a Baron attempt or something like that, but they are getting poked out and even removed from this mid lane. Re-engage maybe comes back in for Meteor.
Dove is so tanky. Bullet time used there. There's ultis flying both ways, but nobody going to find what they're looking for. YSKM has already started up the dragon by his lonesome. Yep. So this is going to go to IG.
Yeah, they will. Second of the game. And this is one of those rare times where, honestly, slow resist and out of combat movement speed, kind of an okay deal against a team like LGD who are looking for picks and CC, and a lot of their CC initially is slow.
Oh, wow.
I say that.
Oh my god, those rockets, and LPC slams the door on Gideon's life. As another kill goes to LGD, now they're pinging up towards this Baron, baby, trying to set up a turn back fight onto IG.
Yeah, they have to look for a turn though. I feel like if they allow Arn to open up on them inside the Baron pit, they're just asking to get aced, aren't they?
YSKM is waiting for a TP in the side lane. You see him just sitting there.
Gone back to base. Gone back to base for it as well.
It didn't show it on the mini map, but yeah, he is TP back in. So it's a 4v5 right now. Gideon not here, but the poke is coming in, and Xiaoxu goes in for the preemptive engage. Heroic entrance will get the one. No, riposte, and YSKM! He slams it on LGD, and they're running, but they ain't running very far as IG guns them down.
It's the worst possible member you could try and make that engage work on, Mazel. It's the one member that can just riposte all damage and all CC. And you should know me, he's probably just giggling internally as they go for that play, LGD. But also, YSKM knows as well, that's a lot of return damage.
LPC is pretty big right now. Doesn't get any more damage after that fourth shot goes in. YSKM has been tanking this whole time. Gideon coming for a little bit of backup, and this is Barrett at 31-43 to IG.
All right, deep breath, everyone. Take a moment as you see engage comes through. Really nice from Xiaoxu, to be honest with you, but YSKM just soaks up everything. The riposte doesn't lock him up, and he's able to just respond. Coordinating on, also able to open up the Glacial Prison, slows him down a little bit. Even though he's cleansed the CC, the slow of the Glacial Prison initially stops him from advancing and slaying more LGD members. However, the fight is just still too one-sided for IG.
I think this is where, yeah, you're seeing a big difference between, it feels like, the Jhin and the sustained damage that On can bring on the Zeri. We're seeing YSKM be such a big factor in these fights, where Xiaoxu tried to get a lot of these secondary engages for his team, has not quite been successful in securing the kills.
I think LPC, you know, again, going back to the build, lethality, it's not gonna hit as hard in the late game as well, per se, right? So I think on having that consistent damage advantage anyway and just going the traditional build, just gonna make it feel like an even bigger gap in damage available at times. LPC is gonna have to be able to be allowed to get in multiple shots after using the curtain call, something like that, whereas Arn's access to damage is quite simply pressing Q. So we'll see how LGD get on. I think, again, both AD carries are pretty big targets to lock down at this point. Arn has time and time again been one of the biggest damage threats throughout the split for IG already, but this game in particular on the Zeri, just because of the nature of the rest of his draft, right? You've got two tanks in mid-jungle. Top side, you've got Fiora. Sure, she's going to get damage done over the course of plenty of vital procs, but she's definitely not going to burst down anyone unless it's a squishy. So I think LGD definitely need to find on, and on the opposite side for IG, if they can shut down LPC, it feels like the damage profile of LGD in the immediate future immediately dips.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's where the catch-outs for IG have been so crucial here. And now that we're on 4 items, but that IE completed for On, the Zeri just gets scarier and scarier. I see LPC has just bought a stopwatch there, so they're going to be nice and usable. But it is just a siege for the next 30 seconds with this Baron buff from IG.
And I mean, I raise you another stopwatch from On as well, just so...
True.
Just to make sure he doesn't get picked off. And speaking of picked off, Dove...
Might need to use it here. Oh my god, but just look at the damage back. Meteor's health. He might have all that health bar, but it ain't nothing in face of On, who is ripping him to shreds. Gideon, a little bit extended here. YSKM goes back in, almost kills JinJiao. Outright does! Grand challenge initiated, and IG are winning that challenge all day, baby. LPC with a couple shots here. The curtain calls. Pretty big, but has to back off now. YSKM goes gold and takes the shot for the tower. Riposte. He dies after the flash. And LPC, he hasn't gone down yet, but he's the defense that LGD needed. But it might just not be enough as they are getting slammed in their base.
Yeah, it looks like third dragon is going to be the prize here for IG, not the game just yet. LGD play enough defense to make sure that they still have a chance at turning this one around, but that was a lot of damage done by the Baron. That's 3 Cloud Dragons as well. That's a lot of out of combat movement speed, which IG are going to have at their disposal. And again, it's, you know, it's one of those unseen stats where it's kind of hard to measure sometimes. Talk about it more if it really comes into effect on our screens because of the slow resist. But look at Arn on the flash forward with the lightning crash. It's just so much damage. No flash, I beg your pardon, but still damage very much appropriate to the point. And LGD on the defense is, you should know me, remove JinJiao from the equation completely. Duel to the death, and it's a dance that LGD aren't winning at all in this particular occasion. And I think you should know me's flash. I think the fact that he flashed backwards before that auto hit him might have been why he died. So I think if he doesn't, maybe the riposte still blocks the damage. It's a pretty long shot. Either way, I think he's probably going to drop, but kind of unfortunate that it plays out like that for the top laner of IG.
And now with that other dragon taken here, IG are back on their relentless pursuit, but maybe, oh, Gideon's down already. That's a big bullet time, but a TP from behind on Xiaoxu. Winks down to a double kill from Haichao. Don't count him out just yet, Jamada, as they were in a 4,000 or 5,000 gold deficit, and they've cut that down to about 4, but it's that positivity, that momentum that we want to see LGD take hold of.
Yeah, exactly right. I think just kind of pulling the rug from underneath IG right now and ensuring that they don't run away on that momentum scale is super important. And it's the first time seeing Gideon actually eat and engage here, and it's full AP Maokai as well. It's not, you know, kind of the, I feel like the hybrid Maokais we've been seeing a lot of the time where it'll be like Demonic Embrace into, you know, Radiant Virtue and then more tank items to survive. It's the Andres, it's Demonic Embrace. Zhonya's is coming up next, so a little more survivability will be afforded to Gideon, but until then, he really needs to be careful, because if he drops, you know, at an awkward time up, Baron's on the table in 15 seconds. You can't afford to continue to get picked like this, because it will give LGD a window back into the game.
Yeah. I do want to check in on some of these item differentials. You've got about an item in difference in this top lane matchup. I definitely want to keep that in mind here as we're getting to more tense moments, because YSKM, this side lane pressure is something that LGD has to constantly think about.
It is, and I think it's on their mind right now, trying to 2v1.
He's going to go for
they
a
about
1v2.
to
He's
end
got
up
a
on
TP
Twitter?
coming in from Dove here. He wants the highlight reel. He has the GA. He's surviving. Heroic entrance comes in. He hasn't gotten the GA popped yet. He finally does, but the health bars from LGD have no way to stay in the fight. YSKM in some trouble here. Riposte comes out. Counter-strike misses. He's still alive. And the rest on. Flash it forward. On. The root ends. And YSKM comes in to clean up a double kill. IG destroy LGD in game 1.
We thought it was going to be a You Should Know Me highlight reel, but it's an IG one as On comes in to clean up the rest of that team fight. Expertly played by the IG top laner. And that turnaround ends the game, and they will pick up the first in the series. LGD left scratching their heads off the back of a single play.
And what a devastating loss for LGD as well. Just, I know it's a best of 3, but man, you had a Jhin that was unkilled to the last moment. You had an unkilled Sylas at the mid lane, and it just doesn't go your way. The decisiveness from IG, the willingness to commit into the side lane onto YSKM, knowing his strength. Beautiful stuff from IG, and the comeback that we needed to see from this team after taking such a hard loss against TT.
Yeah, that game ended so fast, I didn't even have time to get my jacket back on. Yeah, what a crazy way to end that game. And like you say, for LGD, they had a Jhin so powerful, but I felt like LPC just wasn't able to get out the meaningful damage that the lineup really needed, right? And kind of as if you were predicting it and ready to see it happen, you say, I feel like they need to focus on the side lane because YSKM has an item advantage and maybe this is something they need to deal with. They try and deal with it, Mazel.
They tried.
They sent 2 members. It's not enough. He's able to buy so much time to the point where IG all collapse. And that collapse at that point in the map with the death time was always going to be that long. It just ends the game and it feels pretty sour. That's a really bitter way to lose a game. I'll tell you firsthand. From a professional perspective, you're going to be so frustrated to lose a game like that after being so close. So I think, you know, for LGD, definitely, you know, deep breath. Make sure that coming into game 2, you know, there's an air of level-headedness because IG don't look like the same IG that we've seen in the first 3 weeks. They still look a little bit off kilter, but still very much like the IG we're very familiar with. Always happy to take these snap fights and yield huge advantages from them.
And I love all the praise that we've gotten for this top side of the map for IG, right? It's been so deserved. But again, coming into today, I wanted to put such a big spotlight on this bottom lane. We didn't see big fireworks in the laning phase, but my man On was shooting those fireworks after 15 minutes. I mean, this guy was flashing forward, lightning crashing onto 4 members. Yes, it ended up in his death a couple times, but love to see those damage numbers from a late game carry of the likes of On and a crucial member of IG.
Yeah, I really agree, and I kind of hope he gets the MVP for this game. I feel like
to gold ratio for Odd and Wink. Jesus.
Yeah, seems good. Seems good, Mazel. Smile. I feel like YuShoNomi might end up getting MVP for this game, and I'll totally understand if he does. But Arn's performances in some of those team fights were absolutely insane. Just so willing to throw himself forward. It is a very LPL AD carry thing to just W key it. Obviously, you don't move a WASD in League of Legends, but you understand the reference either way. Just doesn't want to go backwards, and LGD couldn't handle it at all. It felt like anytime he did, Arden was pretty much only shut down in that first skirmish in the river. Other than that, he had free reign to do whatever he wanted, and a lot of that also came from, you know, the freedom that YSKM was afforded, not only on the side lane, but also in some of those team fights too. So definitely working in unison to ensure that IG were a well-oiled machine in those team fights.
And, you know, not to the chagrin of Week, you know, being able to pick a lot of these ADC carries. I think it's been really cool to see IG's take on the meta. And even with those resources delivered top, they still look damn good bot lane. So